Hi, Eden Cause, your host, bringing along my company, Just Be, and we are about to take a spiritual boom. We are at an unprecedented time in human history where we are transitioning from 3D to 5D within the great spiritual awakening. This video and audio podcast is the place for you to find your truth beyond politics, your sovereignty, your voice. Let's kick up your vibration now. By the way, each episode ends with the Just Be practice to do just that. P.S. Just to know a little bit more about me, I'm a psychological empath, meditation master, dimensional healer, all the things to help you within this ascension. To learn more about me, visit me at edenjustbe.com. And let's get this party started. Smile up. And usually I do some calm ones and then I do some pretty expressive ones. So you do whatever fits for you. You ready, Dr. Lisa? All right, let's go. Hi. I'm going to do a little pointing at you. Ooh. Ooh. And I'll do some calm ones too. Ooh. Do you feel good about yours? Of course, I was paying attention to me.
Haven't ever had anyone do that. So.
Not to be selfish. Oh, you should see my screen captures. They can be really good.
Okay.
All right, let me get ready. Never had anyone do that. You shouldn't. That's what makes the show special.
Right.
Eden, just be spiritual. And I'll say boom with emphasis today. Boom. Well, that wasn't very emphasized. Boom. I have to move my mouth away from the mic. In association with the Grassroots Warriors Network, Dr. Lisa from Hawaii. Welcome.
Oh, it's so great to be here with you today, Eden.
Thank you. All right. I got my notes. I'm going to read them. Our Galactic Ambassador. So I want to talk to you about that, obviously, and your unique growing up with the Ramtha School of Enlightenment, because I hadn't heard of Ramtha before. I know some other shows that I've watched they had, but it was so new to me. And then one show you talked about a formal government official being there confirming that the galactics are real. If I'm saying that correct, like that is, and this was in the 80s. So that is just so neat. So we're going to talk about your mission now and how you connect people to their galactic family. You and I had a session together, and I'm going to start doing this much more with my guests when it's appropriate so I can really get to know them and have a sense for what they do before they come on the show. I have right now Frank and Fred here with me. So Fred is a zeta. Frank he looks like Gandalf the White from Lord of the Rings, but he is so much bigger than that. So Lisa helped me clarify them. And the reason I know that they came with such silly names, if you want to call it that, was because I know I need to lighten up. If they came in with a really serious name, that would not be good for me. So what I want to tell you, Dr. Lisa, what has been so extraordinary is part of my growth right now is to really work on finding safety within my being. And they are so lovey. I have never had, constantly hugging me, and it's so appropriate. But like I had a master who worked with me before, it had like a Buddhist appearance, was very not standoffish, but just kind of always there. These two are so supportive and helping me feel safe, and it's just delightful. So thank you so much for our meeting was pivotal. I so needed them, but didn't realize. I don't want to say need. They have come to me at such a pivotal time, and they are really assisting me get through this little hurdle of feeling safe. So thank you so much for that.
My pleasure.
Yeah, and we're going to talk more about how you do that. And this has been a lifelong journey for you. And as y'all know, on the podcast, we talk about the galactics a lot. And I feel it is so important to go there right now because what we're going through with this awakening is about reconnecting us not only to humanity within Earth, but this huge solar system that we have been taught doesn't exist, isn't real, and finding our place within the galaxy and also our ascension influencing the galaxy. Lisa, this is the question I wanted to ask you. I have a little bit more to read in a moment, but what is your take right now because you are so connected on why this is so important.
Oh, within our lifetime, some people say within the next 2 years, but within our lifetime, we are going to be ready to have mass open contact with our galactic family. And, we have been hidden away and have forgotten who we really are. And so we're starting to awaken to who we really are, how connected we are, and where we actually come from.
We're going to talk about the DNA races that are within us, knowing that humans have also been manipulated. And you come at it from a very positive perspective, which I like to come into that as well. So we're very connected that way. So a couple things to mention before we get into your bio. All right. So going along with that, my mission is to be high vibe. Yet for me, and I think this is different for you, I also to have a pulse, I guess, in the lower densities. So I just did a special on the Real ID. Please, if you haven't, it's pretty short. Really connect to that and learn more about it. The Real ID isn't just a driver's license; it's a domestic passport. So where we are looking or where we are heading at this point, you're going to need it to go from, let's say, so I'm in Ohio now, so Ohio to California. The plan, it has a very dark agenda, is potentially recording your biometrics, becoming a digital passport. So please say no, refuse it. And there are a certain number of states right now that you cannot refuse it. I think they're going to have to, so like Georgia and Florida,
Our state.
Hawaii. Okay. And I
Yeah.
think there are like five. Oh my goodness. So what's going on there? May I ask you for a moment?
I don't know. When I moved here 5 years ago, they were saying that, okay, within the next year or two, you're going to have that kind of ID. And so I'm like, okay, I'll get it now.
Oh man. Okay, so in Ohio where I am, all you have to do is like I have my passport, and if as long as you have your passport, you're good. All I didn't realize how the agenda behind it when I got it, and then I found out I'm like, oh my gosh, how do I get rid of this? So I just went to the DMV and basically said I just want to exchange it, and she goes, why? And I just said this isn't where I want to be right now. It was under $40. You just get your picture taken, so easy. Came in the mail. That was it. Now at the airports, they charge you if you don't have it to travel. So, really easy for most people to switch. And for those states where you cannot, assuming that it's going to open up there at some point. And let me add to that Twyla. Oh gosh, Twyla Brace, who is founder and president of Citizens Council for Health Freedom. Ugh, she's very well known, a huge proponent for this and getting health out into the community as well. She is going to be on the show in a couple weeks. I'm so excited about that. So we'll talk more about the Real ID and hear more from her about that. Now, Lisa, if you can just give me a moment. Isabella Young, who was on the show, she's also in Hawaii. Wrote this huge book, and if you're watching the New Human of New Earth, it is astounding. Yes, yeah. Oh my gosh, 800 pages. I love at one point she documented a whole bunch of different names in terms of the Great Awakening, and I want to read some of those. And two of them I'm probably not going to say quite correctly. Lisa, you may know what these are. So, okay, just listen to these. Earth is at the end of an epoch. Is it epoch or
Yeah.
epoch? Epoch. Thank you. Already having trouble.
Tomatoes, tomato.
Thank you. There you go. Of wickedness and deception, and is now entering a new cosmic cycle. All right, get ready for these names. Planetary liberation, the shift of the ages, a cosmic reset, the return of Christ consciousness, the apocalypse, disclosure, the event, the omega point, revelations, the great tribulation, the rapture, a polar shift, grand galactic convergence, end times, ascension, the twilight of the Kali Yuga, exit from the 13th zone or zone of contradictions, the cycle to end all cycles, the cycle for life eternal, the great awakening, the beginning of the golden age, the light age, the turning of the ages, the fourth turning, I'm not familiar with that one, the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Okay, I might say these next two incorrectly. The Michaelic age, the age of Maitreya. Are you familiar with that one? I know there's so many. I love them. New Atlantis rising, the new Renaissance. Okay, we got about 20 more. The quickening, the precession of the equinoxes, the great galactic year, the solar pulse, the great solar flash, a pole shift, the fifth post Atlantean epoch, the resurrection, the return to the crystalline timeline, the establishment of the new Atlantis, the restoration, the archaic revival, the great realignment, the translation, the great unfolding. Let me take a breath. The great quantum transition, the shift into the fifth dimension, New Jerusalem, Shambhala, heaven on earth, future Jupiter, the creation of Nova Gaia or Terra Nova. It was just so neat reading all of those and seeing the different perceptions. I loved it. Okay, I think I'm going to go into your bio now.
Okay,
All
let's
right.
do it.
Love it. Love everything. Dr. Lisa Thompson is a globally recognized leader in multidimensional awakening who has helped thousands, including me, of individuals activate their highest potential and step into their soul aligned purpose. She is a best selling author, speaker, and founder of the Infinity Healing Method, an energy healing certification for healers. As a galactic ambassador and multidimensional channeler, Dr. Lisa communicates with 13 higher dimensional ET races, primarily the Arcturian Uluru. Did I get it?
You did.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Bringing through transformative galactic wisdom and healing frequencies to support humanity's ascension. And I think our Just Be practice at the end of the day or end of this podcast might assist with some of that. Is that correct?
Yes.
Awesome. So stay tuned towards the end. A lifelong experiencer of extraterrestrial contact, she serves as a guide for those ready to awaken their soul's highest calling, shift timelines consciously, and fully embody 5D consciousness. Her teachings help clear energetic blocks, release limitations, and unlock your more unique spiritual gifts so you can live with greater clarity, purpose, and power. With a PhD in evolutionary biology from the University of Chicago, which we'll talk about that too. I think that's so cool in terms of biodiversity. Dr. Lisa merges cutting-edge science with multidimensional spirituality, making her a pioneering voice in the global awakening movement. Heck yeah, we need more of those. Let me take a breath. I feel like I've talked a good bit. Let me take 3 breaths. And now, because I'm going to turn the floor over to you, which is going to be awesome. I want to know first, and this is primarily my first question, how did you start to know about this great awakening, the multiple names that Isabella gives to it? And that also may have to do with you being a child and just growing up in a metaphysical household. All right, can we start there, please?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
I did grow up my entire life in more of that metaphysical, like outside of religious paradigm kind of household.
Yeah.
My mother, through my early years, she was an astrologer. All her friends were astrologers, psychics, tarot card readers. And then when I was 13, we moved from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma to Washington State to attend the Ramtha School of Enlightenment.
Okay.
Now,
So can I ask you a question?
yeah,
Growing up with all that around, were it sounds like maybe the other families that you were connected with also held that, or were you just like a kind of a black sheep in your community? What was that like? Because it's one thing I've always felt like I was singular, yet you grew up in it. It was all around you. Yeah, yeah. Tell a little bit about that.
yeah. Well, so, Oklahoma is the Bible Belt. It's in the Bible Belt. And
Yeah,
my mom and her family, they were Southern Baptists. So that's how my mother first started her life. But when she became an adult, she left the
yeah.
church. And then when she divorced my dad when I was 2 years old,
Okay.
that's when we moved to Oklahoma and she got introduced to the world of astrology and esoteric metaphysical sciences. And so she would go at night to astrology classes and bring me with her because she was a single mom and I'm an only child. So I would go and sit in on these classes. So it was just in my background. And we would go to these metaphysical bookstores. There was one particular one, Starwind, who the owner, she was a witch. And, I just loved being
Mm.
in that shop. So I have really great memories. But then on the other hand, my aunt who helped raise me, she was still deeply embedded in the Southern Baptist Church. And so when I would have to stay over, I would sometimes have to go to church with her. And I went to vacation Bible school one summer, which that was a funny, funny experience. But I always, I'm just so grateful that I got exposed to all of these things at that early age because that made, I mean, and I know I chose my mom specifically so
Yeah.
that I could be exposed early. There was a lot of questioning though, because all of my friends were very religious. And my best friend wasn't. Her mom, she had a single mom as well. And
Mm.
so the two of us, we had very similar kind of experiences. But,
Wow.
yeah, just, but then when we started going to see Ramtha, the family thought that number one, it was crazy and that it was demonic.
Okay. Where in the South are they from?
So my family, they're originally from Texas and Arkansas, but
Okay.
we were in Oklahoma.
Okay. All right. Got it. Okay. Can you explain Ramtha and the school? Because I know we talked about it before the show, knowing it was founded by J.K. Knight. So the school I read was official in 1988, but it was well before that. And I also have to pause for a moment. I think it was so neat that you were exposed to both to the metaphysical and the religious. So you could actually find out what really worked for you.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's so nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
And I mean, even in Oklahoma, my mother, she offered to me that
ah,
if I ever felt like I wanted to go to church, that she would take me.
mm,
And I never felt that calling. Like I would go with friends or with my aunt, but that was
yeah.
it. It never resonated with me. But so, yeah, so my mom and aunt, they got introduced to Ramtha in 1985. And so Ramtha is an ascended master, um, supposedly the original ascended master from 35,000 years ago from Lemuria, but during the coexistence of Atlantis. So this is where a lot of people think Ramtha is from Atlantis. Ramtha is actually Lemurian and was a warrior. And he had an army that I and others were part of. And so at the time, Lemuria and Atlantis were battling against each other. And so Ramtha actually, in the one life, found enlightenment, basically ascended. And then um, his relationship, so it's Jay-Z night, not JK night,
Oh,
but
I said, oh, Jay-Z. Thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah. So in the late 70s, Ramtha came to Jay-Z and like appeared to her and explained, I guess, who he was and that he wanted to start channeling through her. And so one way or another, she started channeling Ramtha. So that was in the late 70s. And so, fast forward 1985, my mom and aunt, they go to one of these events in Colorado, Denver, Colorado. And after going to that weekend, and there was a lot of fear in that particular one, it was called The Days to Come. And it was all about, so again, 1985, here we are 40 years later, where things of all the systems are going to fall. You should probably have gold. You should be raising your own food, droughts, all the things. So really being prepared.
Okay.
And so that was 40 years ago. So my family freaked out, or my mom and aunt did. And so then they were like, we have to get out of Oklahoma because it wasn't supposedly going to be a safe place with all the stuff that was going to happen. Now, so we moved to Washington State in 1986 when I was 13. And we started going to these events. And so now at age 13, I'm learning about creating your reality, higher dimensional consciousness, multidimensional reality. and other things like extraterrestrials and fairies and dragons and all the things outside of this physical reality. And then we started. So at first, when I was going to the school, it was more like being lectured to, it was information.
Yeah.
And then in 1988, when it turned into the school, the Ramtha School of Enlightenment, that's when we started being introduced to different disciplines to really expand experientially our consciousness and to
Whoa.
create reality.
Whoa. I know that so many young people today are going to grow up more in that. Yet I'm also thinking, like for me, I grew up in the deep south. There was none of that. And then when I started doing this work, which was my late 20s, it was also like, what are you doing? What, so I was quiet with certain people. And now it's like there's and I'm sitting here with Ramtha, like the Seth books. Was that about the same time?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. And
And
okay.
yeah. So, and and back in the 70s and 80s and 90s, up
Yeah.
until more recent times,
Yes.
channeling was thought to be like weird or fringe. Now, there are a lot more people out there that are channelers that are channeling these different beings,
Hmm.
and some of them are higher vibrational, higher dimensional, others a little lower vibrational.
Hmm.
And so it really, I think, and now that I've learned to channel, I never thought I would channel like ever, because again, I thought like it was already weird enough to go to a school that was channeled.
Yeah.
And when we moved to the town of Yelm, where Jay-Z is based and where the Ramtha School is, it was a highly religious town, very small. Like it was a one stoplight town when we moved there,
Whoa.
and very, very like blue collar and ag culture. And very religious, like 28 churches in a town of maybe 2,000 people. And so it was very like us versus them in a way. A lot of the normal townspeople, they did not like us that were part of the Ramtha school. So it was an interesting time to grow up.
I'm sure. And for those who are listening, Lisa is very normal looking and normally dress not like hippie wear and your hair and dreads or any. Were most people with Ramtha pretty normal looking? I mean, was it?
They were. I mean, and actually, back in the day, and maybe even still to this day, you had a lot of people with a lot of money coming to the school. And so Linda Evans from Dynasty fame, she's
Yes.
one of the most famous
Oh my
people.
gosh.
And
Okay.
Shirley MacLaine attended
Okay.
the school, Salma Hayek. So you have people of that kind of fame, caliber, money,
Hmm.
and others, a lot of people from California that moved up there that had a lot of money.
Hmm.
And then now, okay, and I don't care. Doc, okay, Dr. Joe Dispenza,
Yeah.
he went to the Ramtha school. I've known him since I was 13. He was my chiropractor when I was a teenager and into my
No
20s.
way. Okay, I'm more familiar with the Ramtha school than I knew because yeah, all of this I'm like, oh yeah, but I didn't. Okay. Whoa.
Yeah. So, and I mean, you had normal people too, but because a lot of people did move to Washington to be closer to the school. Some people just traveled back and forth, but it really became an international kind of school where Jay-Z Ramtha would travel around to other countries. And then at some point, all those people would just come to the school in Washington.
Mm.
And, a lot of people, so back in the 80s, at least that my experience, it was definitely of interest to the government because of what we were learning, because we started learning things like remote viewing and really enhancing our clair abilities,
Mm.
expanding consciousness. And so there were high government CIA type people that infiltrated the school. And some of them became real students. They left their government positions. And there's one I and I don't even know his last name, but his nickname was CIA Ron. And he's still there.
Oh, no way. All right, CIA Ron. Love it. So, knowing, okay, I don't even know how to ask a question with this. Okay, when you started doing more of the practices versus the just being lectured, what did you discover within yourself, knowing that you also had a mom that had connected you to all this early on? Did things come pretty quickly for you? Were you already connected to a lot of it?
yes and no.
Mhm.
Um, One of the beautiful things that I got exposed to in terms of like the lecturing part, first was I remember one event that it was all about extraterrestrials, UFOs, extraterrestrials.
Mhm.
And that was like my favorite one of all of them to go to. And I didn't know why at the time,
Oh,
but then I later, like maybe a few months or a year later, because I don't even remember, I might have been 14 when I went to that one.
mhm.
But when I was 15, that's when I had my first conscious memory of being taken onto a craft. And so knowing that that stuff was real and then getting to have that experience and then getting it validated by myself and then external source, um, that's for me, that was like the pivotal experience. And that was not during one of the things at the school that we were learning, but because we had been learning to expand our consciousness, what I know now is they deemed that I was emotionally mature enough to handle having that conscious memory of coming back and getting to ask questions. And so as a teenager, then it, it it was so normal. Like I just it didn't it didn't change how I was in the world, but it planted the seed of like, okay, at some later date, this is going to come back full circle.
Okay, and I want to ask you, I heard you describe that experience before, and I would love for you to share it again because it is different from others. And bringing that, I also want to know, you ended up going to University of Chicago after
Mhm.
all of this. Okay, and that also leads beautifully into what you're doing now. But I also want to know how after this. Okay, so we'll go into what you experienced, and then I want to know how that then led you to classical school.
Right. Okay. So, so when I was 15, my mom and I, at the time, we lived on 20 acres because again, we were city girls in Oklahoma. And because of the days to come, my mother was like, we have to get animals and we have to have a garden and all the things. And so we were living on 20 acres and it was a nighttime experience. I was asleep, so I don't remember how I got into the craft, but I wake up, I'm inside the spacecraft. And it was a small shuttlecraft, just me and my ET guide. And I didn't have any fear at all being with him because number one, he looked human. And number two, I felt like I knew him, like he was my friend. It was very comfortable. So then, we fly through space and we finally landed where we were going. And I asked him where we were. He said that we were inside of Io, one of Jupiter's moons. And then he started touring me around what looked like a hospital facility where I could see into different rooms. People were being examined, but nothing scary. But everyone looked human. So my next question to him was, are you human? Is everyone here human? And he said, no, those of you that we brought here are human. We are not. We are humanoid, but we disguise ourselves because our form tends to scare you. And so then my next question to him was, well, why are we here? Why am I here?
Yeah.
And he said that those of us that had been chosen to be brought there were being tested to see if something happened to Earth, if we could live in an environment like that or something similar. Now, this is back in 1988, where we're still in the Cold War, very real possibility of World War III happening. And so it made sense that there was that timeline potential. So then at the end of the tour, I asked him if I could see what he really looked like. And this plays into me going to grad school at University of Chicago. As a kid, I was obsessed with animals. The weirder, the better. I seriously obsessed with animals. And so I asked him if I could see what he really looked like. And so he was about 7 feet tall. He had pure white skin, big dark eyes, and a very long red hair, like fire engine red kind of hair. And
Wow, that is
triad,
different.
right? Yeah, tattooed on his cheeks. So very extreme in his size and what he looked like. So I could see how a lot of people might have some fear with that. Like think kind of scary clown, very large scary clown, kind of
Thank
extreme.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but completely benevolent. So then I get returned back home and I'm like laying in my bed, just like, oh my God, that was the weirdest dream I've ever had. And so my 15-year-old brain is just like, that was a dream. That was the weirdest dream. But it was a few months later, and I didn't tell anyone about it because I did think it was just a dream. But a few months later, I was reading Whitley Strieber's book, Communion, which is about his experiences of being taken by the Zetas, the Greys. And at the end of the book, he is interviewing different people that have been taken, and they all have the same kind of gray ET experience that he was having, except for one guy had a totally different story where he was telling Whitley that he had been taken to a moon of Jupiter and told he was one of the chosen ones. And Whitley made a little side comment that I interpreted sarcastically. I hope it isn't Io. And when I read that,
Oh.
full body, head to toe chills, tears started coming down my
Mm.
face. And so that I already like knew as a teenager, that's my body's way of telling me that was a real experience. So then that's when I told my mom because I knew she would believe me.
Well,
So
yeah.
yeah, she got really excited about it.
Oh, man.
And she had already seen a massive spacecraft on one of the Ramtha retreats in Estes, Colorado. Or yeah, I think Estes is in Colorado. So, she fully believed me. And then a few days later, she introduced me to one of those former high government people that were now students at the school.
Man.
And so I shared my story with him. And when I got to the part of describing him, he was like, I don't know that race. He said, but we don't know all of them. There are
Mm-mm.
so many out there. But he said, you had a real experience. So not only did I have my own validation, but I got that validation externally very quickly, which
Mm-hmm.
was huge for me not having to go through my life thinking I'm crazy, I made it up, it was just a
Mm-hmm.
dream. And it really planted the seed for what I do now. And that particular race, what's really interesting is I have not met or heard of anyone describing this race before. And all the people who write the ET Species Almanac kind of books
Mm-hmm.
never seen this group. And so I wanted to get more information
Yeah.
about it once I was now fully like immersed in the UFOlogy ET world in the last 5 years. And so I've got a lot of psychic medium friends, and I was working with my friend Lee, and I was like, Lee, can we try to pull this group in so we can get questions answered? And he was able to. And so this group, they really are not known to Earth. They don't work with a lot of humans at all.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not part of any of the galactic federations. They're very neutral, but they do have connection to the Arcturians. So the Arcturians are a very, very high dimensional, high vibrational race that are not physical like we are.
Mm-hmm.
They're much more energy and consciousness. Where this group from Io, they're much more physical like we are. And so the Arcturians, my family, me, had basically asked them to watch over me as Earth Lisa to help me. And so that's the information that we got as to like why this group, why they felt so comfortable. And I had been with them throughout my whole childhood, but they didn't let me remember it. In fact, a lot of people don't get to remember their experiences because they're meant to still be normal Earth humans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you're not meant to be a normal Earth human.
Not anymore. I had actually, so right, I had
Me
to go
either.
through learning all of remembering the spiritual stuff
Yeah.
and also then being an earth human and going to graduate school, getting my PhD, like following my passion of the animals.
Yeah.
That's um I've always been a very high achiever. And so, I decided at 9 years old that I was going to study sharks because I read a book about Eugenie Clark, the shark lady, who was first female shark biologist from the 60s.
Wow.
And very little, was known about sharks. And I'm like, they're misunderstood. I am going to study these animals. And so that led me to being on the path of like, okay, I'm getting my degree in marine biology. So I did that as my undergrad. And then I got right into graduate school to University of Chicago, which was a whole different world because I would tell my friends, oh yeah, I work with ETs and I believe in Sasquatch and dragons and fairies and mer people. And they're like, who is this chick from Washington?
And
Because
plus,
they
you're from Washington. I mean, I wouldn't say,
right.
except for I would be like if you were from, I don't know, what's uh, somewhere, but not Washington. I wouldn't think that. And you just were just like, hey,
I
this is just every day for me. So,
yes, yes, and all of my friends, like in my department, they were Yale, Stanford, Harvard, Harvard, Brown, Princeton, and I'm the Evergreen State College, Olympia, Washington.
oh
I'm a
my
geek
gosh,
so,
how did you deal with that?
well, they thought I was weird. So I just kept that side of myself hidden
Hmm.
until I wanted to be taken seriously. I
Mm,
even in back in the like 1991, 92, when I started going to college, I got my nose pierced for the first time. And, I actually had two piercings, but I actually took those out when I went to grad school
mm,
so that people would take me seriously.
hmm.
Because, I didn't want that spiritual world and then perhaps what I look like to have people judge me
Yep.
that I wasn't worthy of being there. And so I pretended to be really normal. And so it was only a few people in grad school that I would share that with, but then they were like, oh, okay. So I'm
Oh,
like, okay, we're shutting that side down. And at that time, I was not active in the Ramtha school. I was just like hardcore focused on my studies. But then I'd got my PhD and I was doing my postdoc. And my mom introduced me to her chiropractor and got me an appointment with him. And he reintroduced me to the Ramtha school because, so with his science background, he's like, you would absolutely love what is being taught now. It's all about quantum mechanics and brain physiology. So, all the science underlying the woo woo that
mm.
we had learned all those years. And so that's what got me back into the school. And so we had these reading lists of being educated as well as then even more disciplines that we were doing in the school.
So, what did you do with your degree?
Well, I was a professor for a couple of years, but that didn't,
No way. Where?
so I was at Wittenberg University in Springfield, Ohio. I actually had a tenure track position, so I could be a tenured professor now, maybe department chair.
And let me
And then
snore with that. All right, go ahead.
yeah, right. And
Diminishing that, but yeah, where you are right now is so important. Okay, go ahead.
but what's fascinating because
Yeah.
you never know like what is going to happen to get you on a different track. So the first year that I started teaching, after my postdoc, I'm in Ohio. I'm 2 weeks into teaching, and 9/11 happens.
Oh my gosh.
And
Okay.
I'm in Ohio without any friends, without any family, and that same chiropractor boyfriend that reintroduced me to
Oh,
the school, and it wasn't Dr. Joe. It was, yeah, Gordy. So Gordy broke up with me that night on 9/11. So then I'm like, okay, I'm
wait a
in
minute.
Ohio.
So he broke up with you after it happened, like the day of.
The day of, yeah. Yeah. So I'm in Ohio, like, what am I doing here? And then So, there was all of this fear. And then there was like anthrax, maybe the food supply was going to be like polluted in the water. There was a lot of fear for those first several months.
Mhm.
And I just felt so isolated in Ohio. And so I realized, okay, and I was not loving my professor job.
Yeah.
I didn't love teaching college students. And so I gave them notice. I did finish out the school year, but I moved back to Washington because I'm like, I have to be with my people. Like I need to actually be with community
Yeah.
where I feel safe and secure and that I'm not all alone because it was very isolating. And
I
so,
can relate to that now. Okay, let me ask you one question.
yeah,
When 9/11 happened, did your mom call you and say, "It's happening right now"? How was she in all of that?
I was so distraught about my boyfriend breaking up with
How
me.
corny.
I don't remember whatever my mother, but well, what's so funny is that even like through college, I moved 45 minutes away from my mom's house to go to college. And she would sometimes be like, Ramtha says there's going to be an earthquake this weekend. Be prepared. So it was a lot of like boy caught crying wolf kind of
Mm,
thing over and over and over.
mm.
And so, yeah, so when 9/11 happened, then I was like, oh, okay, there,
There, there we got one.
what is happening? We do have one. So I moved back to Washington and then I was able to get a job at University of Puget Sound in Tacoma, Washington.
Okay, can I ask you another question?
Yeah.
Knowing that 9/11 is essentially a lie at this point, were you aware of that at the
Oh,
time?
yes.
Oh
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Oh my God. You were yeah, you've been on the ground floor of everything. How
Oh, like we've been all the conspiracies, that was part of what we were learning
oh my gosh. All right.
during all those years. Yeah.
Okay, so not only being in Ohio, being isolated, like really being isolated in thought at that point,
Yeah.
beyond your ET connection, but oh, wow. Okay, so when you moved back to your people, started
Yeah.
teaching there, what happened after that?
Okay, so then it was a test for me to see, number one, was it just location and
Mm,
situation that I didn't like being a professor, or was it actually the teaching? And being, back in my home place, it was the teaching. I was not meant to teach college students because, and even at that time, so this would have been like 2001, 2002, somewhere in there that I'm at University of Puget Sound. And I was very well versed in Dr. Bruce Lipton's work at that time, um, because that's part of what we were learning at the
yeah,
school. And he actually spoke at the school as a guest lecturer at one point. And so I was teaching my students his work back in like, yeah, 2001, 2002. And they're all like, this is not in our textbook. This is what? You, your environment doesn't like express your DNA. And I'm like, okay, just wait 25 years and it will be in your
oh
textbooks because
man.
that's how lagged
Hmm.
science is.
Hmm.
And so, like, my personal spiritual experiences and understanding far exceeded what
Yeah.
we know in our very limited academic paradigm and
Well,
how slow it is to change.
yeah,
So,
and how the academic paradigm wants to be slow, doesn't. So I'm
yes.
sure people were all, did anyone tell on you or just say,
No, and at that
oh
point,
gosh,
like I was already, that was going to be my
okay.
last semester. And so I didn't care what anyone.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm going to plant seeds in these students.
Oh my God, it'd be so neat if you could talk to one of them today and then be like, oh yeah, I totally I'm sure it changed someone's life or really made them start thinking about
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so um left academia and then had a really windy, interesting career path after that. But 9 years ago is when I started my spiritual business. So like I'm 53 now. It took a lot for me to get to where I am. However, all of it was a beautiful part of the journey that added to my richness of being Earth human in this
Yeah.
expression to really understand humanity because I am mostly not human. And
Hmm.
so I
Hmm.
needed to come in and experience a lot of life in a
Yeah.
lot of really hard situations. I'm in my fourth career. I've had three marriages, two children, and you know, and I talk to and have embodied ETs into my reality.
Yeah, on some level right now too, to be relatable on some level is so important. And you and I feel like we are very similar. I am, how do I say this? Without sound, and it's not ego. Okay, really moving into the depth of what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's been
Yes.
the same thing all this time. Like I started doing this work a while back, but small business or whatever. So getting to the point where I really got to step out and step up. And I'm 57. So also working with that too, like my life building up to this point hasn't been misused. I needed all of these things to get me here. And I'm saying this to you and saying it to other people as well. Because there is a part that's like, I was in a marriage for 25 years. Oh, that marriage was just a waste. No, it wasn't a waste. It was very important to go through, and you had to go through that. Yet there's still this part of me that's like, oh, this would have been great to happen in my 20s. And I know that's not possible. Yet for those of you that are also out there who now is the time for, if you desire it, to really leave these lower timelines. And a lot of me was, I was kept in a lot of this family thinking that you're small, you're not good enough. So I'm really working on ending that once and for all because that can be done right now.
Yeah.
So I look at you and I go, you go. It is so just and okay. And I do want to talk for a moment about because it was really neat. I know a good many star races, but I want to when you talk about dictionaries, like Elena Dannan's book, Alien Races, she's got hundreds in
She
here.
does. She's got about 120.
Okay.
What I do want to say
Yes. Oh, go ahead. Share.
about okay. Um, there's also one by Craig Campobasso. He's got
Mhm.
about 85
Okay.
races. The way that the two different authors write about the ET races is very different.
Mhm.
And what I will say, um, and I don't, whatever, she's highly polarized. She is very extreme in terms of her judgment or the way that she describes some of these
Yes.
races. Whereas Craig, even though he will be like, it's service to self versus service to others.
Got it.
That like the way that he even expresses the words, where she's like, run, these guys are evil. And I mean, I'm not saying that there aren't what we would perceive as malevolent or bad ETs, but it's all a vibration. It's
Yep.
all frequency vibration. And part of what I'm here to do is to help really people understand some of these ETs are just like humans. You have some
Yeah.
individuals that are kind, compassionate, loving, service to others kind of people. And then you have other humans that are the complete opposite of that. So you can't put an entire race
Mhm.
into one bucket like that.
I so appreciate you articulating that because we talk about here on the show having discernment. And I remember one podcast I listened to a while back. He's like, if their name is in the game, chances are they're not so great or be very discerning. So I keep myself very flexible. And I don't, it's really interesting. I don't know that much about Elena. Like I bought her book. I'm not, and what was the other person you talked about? Craig?
Craig Campabasso.
Oh, how do you spell that last name?
Oh, Campa Basso, something like
Okay.
that. Yeah.
I'll look it up as well, but thank you. Yeah, thank you for disclosing that. And I love the way you did it too with a kindness, but a directness at the same time. So thank you so much for that. And that's a great lead in one of the, okay, tell me if I have this right. One of the groups that you work with are the Zetas,
Hmm.
which is they're grays
Yep,
as well.
they're one of the many
Thank
gray
you.
races
Okay.
because we do have different gray races that come from different star systems.
Mhm.
And there is so much fear in our society around zetas, around the grays, because they are one of the main groups that does interact with Earth humans and that have historically taken people. I don't like the term abduction at all.
Mhm.
It's automatically a negative connotation. And everything from my understanding, and I will preface that if it's someone else's understanding a different way, that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's all a soul contract agreement when we have these experiences with these different ET groups, whether we perceive it
Mhm.
as positive or negative. But the Zetas, I love my Zeta family. I absolutely adore them. And what I know is that one of the aspects that I have of myself is as a Zeta. And I know that I volunteered to be coming here as Earth Lisa to then be part of the Zeta Human Hybrid program, which again, there are some people who have a lot of really negative fear-based um, judgment on that hybridization program. And from my perspective, there's absolutely nothing negative about it. It's actually a beautiful evolution of the Zeta race and the human race here on Earth, because what they're doing is they're taking the best parts of the Zeta DNA, the best parts of the Earth human DNA, and creating a spiritually advanced race of hybrid beings known as the Sasani or Esasani and the Yael. And they are our evolution.
Well, and it was so neat too when you and I worked together that for me, one of the beings to come out was a Zeta as well. What do you think of that? Do you think that's interesting?
Well, I do. And I also, it went, for the last 5 years that I have stepped into the galactic work. So I've been doing my spiritual work for 9 years as a business, but I moved here to Hawaii
Mm,
5 years ago and I didn't have to pretend to be normal anymore. I was able to let go of all my 3D other businesses and reality. So I started my UFO tour here on the Big Island. And because then I was opening up and
oh,
sharing my
great.
stories and really connecting people with their galactic family and guides, it's amazing how many people over the last 5 years, the Zetas are the ones that pop in for them.
No way.
Yeah, they're actually probably one of the most common groups that come to the people. So the Zetas, the Arcturians, the Pleiadians, and the Andromedans
Mm-hmm.
tend to be actually the most common.
Mm-hmm. What, in terms of hybridization, okay, let me see. Because I have heard also that some of our DNA has been played with, not for good. And I totally agree with soul contracts. I love that also because if you're abducted or taken, you've agreed on some level to that too. So again, in this great awakening period of time, it's all about responsibility for everything. All right, talk about, would you mind quickly, the hybridization again, and knowing that also the reptilians, and the same thing with the reptilians. There are really great reptilians. There are some that are not so great, but also hearing about getting us into slavery and some of the darker components of it. What would you say to that? Is that, did I clarify that
Okay.
good enough?
Oh, yeah. Oh, totally. Okay. So we have up to 22 different ET races in our DNA. All of us have some of the reptilian DNA.
Well, and
All
our brain is reptilian. The part of
it
it
is,
when I used to teach about meditation. Now it
right?
was before I even knew about that. Now I'm like, oh my gosh, we do have reptilian brain. It's serious.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So now here is where we get a little quantum because at the quantum level, all timelines exist
Yes.
simultaneously and all realities exist simultaneously. And we are infinite beings. We
Mhm.
are all connected to each other. We are all connected to source. We have all these different aspects in these different dimensional realms. So we all have angelic expressions, galactic in all the different levels, elementals, animals, all the things, trees, crystals. All we are all of that. So when we come here to Earth school is like PhD level of
Yeah.
reality because we go through the tunnel of forgetfulness
Yeah.
and we forget who we are, and we're experiencing this polarized reality, which from a higher understanding is simply a mechanism of evolution.
Mhm.
So when you understand it from that higher perspective, even if there are timelines where, yes, maybe humanity became a slave race and, there was not great stuff going on, anyone who incarnated into a life during that time is choosing that for experience. There is no good or bad at that higher dimensional level. And so and this is what over the last 5 years, what's been really, I was learning it from the Ramtha school, but really, like my Arcturians have been the ones to really help me embody that information. Because again, in this reality, people are so polarized, so judgmental, and they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we were slaves and all this. And it's like, yeah, you chose to be if that was one of your things.
Yep.
And I know some people don't like that. They think it's spiritual bypassing, but it's not. It's
Oh, it's
actually,
it's the hardest spirituality to accept
yes,
that.
yes. And so um even people right now here on Earth who might be experiencing some very challenging things, like people who are getting
Yeah.
murdered, who
Oh, I
have
know.
disease, or, you know, all the things on all sides. It was a choice
Yep.
as soul contract. And I know, and I saw something on Facebook a couple days ago from one of my friends that's in the spiritual community. And she was basically like, people like what I'm saying, how bad that is. Um, and I know
And she's in the spiritual community.
she is, but she's,
Yep.
we all have a different
Yep.
level of
I get it.
understanding.
Hmm.
We're all at different places. And so for me, that's what I understand.
Hmm.
And what I will say, all perceptions are correct. Whatever your reality is, that's correct for
That's
you.
going to be what it is. Okay, let's go take it to the real idea for a moment. I want to examine that because that is polarizing because
Mhm.
in my work as well, like for example, I'm working, keep this very general, and I've done this a lot in the past. If someone has a horrible experience as a child,
Yeah.
molestation, horrible parents, to
My
get them.
mom, she was sexually abused by her dad, my granddaddy.
Okay,
Yeah.
to get them to realize that you chose it first to heal, because if you
Yeah.
say that right at the beginning, people are like, "What? How did I choose this heart?" But to understand the spiritual lessons that come from through it, and the person that you are today, and so it is the same thing with everything you're talking about with the galactic teachings, with the abductions, with all of that. How would then you advise me with the real ID? Because I don't want to be polarizing with it. Yet to me, it is one of those things in terms of not consenting to certain things. What would you advise to me?
So I would say, whatever your reality is true for you. So
There
what
you go.
reality do you want to create? And so, like for me, I like the real ID, whatever. It's not going to do anything
Right,
negative.
because it's not part of your world.
Not part of my world. It's like, yeah, my ID is a real ID, and so what? And so
Okay,
same
awesome.
same with people who, let's say, the vaccination,
Hmm.
right? If your belief is that it is bad, people, you're going to have like all these negative ramifications from that, then you are correct. So on either side, whether you took it or not, like whatever you
Yeah.
believe about it truly is fully going to be your reality about it. all timelines exist simultaneously.
simultaneously.
And so what timeline do you want to be a part of?
Ooh, okay. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go
That's what
deeper.
for the last 5 years, that is what has been coming through strongly. Yeah.
Okay, and that makes sense again with me needing or desiring to step it up even more. This will help me step it up as well. All right, let's see how I handle having Twyla on the show. Because again, most of the time I have very, very highly spiritual people on the show. I've done some other things as well, but a lot of galactic work. Yeah, let's just see where this takes me. Thank you so much. Let me see. Oh, and of your three marriages, I do want to know. I'm just curious. What one of your husbands passed away? Is that correct?
That's right. The most recent one, who was the love of my life,
Oh man,
after two toxic relationships, I came out of the second one being like, I'm the common denominator here. I keep recreating these
yeah,
situations. And it was because of grow. And again, like I chose this coming into this life, one of my lessons of not feeling lovable or worthy
yep,
of love, abandoned, all the things like that. I raised myself because even though my mother, was in that world, basically she left me alone. Yeah, very, very much alone.
mhm.
So I did deep dive healing in myself. And then when I came out of that deep dive healing, that's when I met Skip, who could love and support me. I could receive that love and support the way that I never had been able to before. And so we were together for 8 years, and I was in the middle of leading one of my galactic retreats here on the island, actually. And out of the blue, he committed suicide.
What?
Yeah, totally out of the blue. And so that I had to
Whoa.
really be like, what just happened? Why? And I was talking to my team, like, did it really have to be this extreme? And what very clearly I got back, yes, it did. For me to be in the higher vibrational timeline, he couldn't be in my energy anymore. He was loving, but he was so 3D and polarized,
Oh my
just
gosh.
and political, and he just couldn't stop.
Oh, that
And
would be so
so
hard.
it was like, and this is part of what I've learned about over the years and taught as well. If we as spiritual leaders are truly meant to be these lights and in these higher vibrational realities, not everyone can hang in that energy.
Yeah.
And if they can't, they're going to naturally fall out of our lives in one way or another. Doesn't have to be as extreme as what
Oh
happened with
my
Skip.
gosh. Right.
But my team was like, you had to be fully anchored in this higher timeline where you are here to hold your energy and to share the way that you do. And so as hard as and Skip has come through for the last 2.5 years through multiple psychic mediums and to me directly as well. And he was like, how I was on the fence about all that you knew and understood. Well, it's all real.
Well,
Keep
of course, even
it.
now, yes.
So they have a different understanding on the other side, but
Yes.
he also and this is really was important for me to hear. He's like, I couldn't help you in the physical earth
Mm.
reality the way that you needed me to support you. He said, I was holding you back. He's like, I can help you so much more from the other side.
So what does he do for you now?
He brings me people and opportunities.
So wonderful.
Yeah.
Nice. Hey, Skip. Thank you. We may talk about him when you and I do our session together. We'll see. Do you? There's so much more that we could talk about, yet I want to go into the practice in a minute. I feel like this is good because you have so many other podcasts that talk more about what you do, and I really appreciate you coming on today and really just talking about who you are and your heart and your experiences. I think that is so necessary and meaty, especially in this time when people are trying to discern who to go to, because there are a lot of, like, one of my guests, they just moved to Sedona, and they're like, oh my gosh, you really have to be discerning there with who you go see. It's a,
You do.
yeah, how do I say it without being polarized? It's a, well, tricky is, it's just a discerning situation, and to go to someone who can truly guide your heart and your soul, that is really what it's all about, I think, right now. And really, if someone doesn't resonate with you, or something they say doesn't resonate, go find someone else. Find someone who speaks to you, again, to your soul. I love that. Okay, before we go into the practice, is there
Yeah.
anything else you would like for people to know about you, or about where we're headed? Or because one of the things that you've talked about on this show too is, again, there's nothing to be scared about.
No.
This is beautiful, and it's a part of you, and we've just forgotten or been led to forget. Is there anything else along those lines that you want to say?
Just really for people to remember how truly powerful we
Mhm.
are when we know who we really are, where we come from, that we really are the creators of our reality,
Yeah.
and to be more conscious of that, because we're creating whether we're unconscious or conscious. And when we're in our more unconscious state, just on autopilot, well, that reality that's unfolding in front of you, if you don't like it, it's because you are just playing out those same feedback loops of reality. So it really does take focus and emotion and rewiring the brain to step into a whole new life. And so that's what I help people do.
Yes. And I was just thinking, as an aside, when this episode goes live, I will probably be in my breatharian retreat. So learning how to do food differently and water. So that's going to be tremendously transformative in terms of, your science says you're supposed to drink this much water a day. You're supposed to drink this or eat this much food. I am excited about learning something new and being something different. So I think with Dr. Lisa, that's what you're also
Yeah.
saying today. Beautiful. All right. Can you take us into the practice and do what you do best? Bring it all, honey. Ready.
Okay. So we have what, 5 to 10 minutes?
Yeah, whatever you like, but that's kind of
Okay.
the
Yeah.
basis.
Yeah. We'll go.
Oh, I got light coming down on me.
Just
Yeah.
be
Okay.
practice.
So if it is safe for you to do so, please close your eyes. And I want you to just relax into the surface beneath you as much as you can, just focusing on your breath, taking a nice deep breath in, holding at the top, and exhaling fully through your mouth, just releasing any tension in your body, allowing your nervous system to relax, to reset. And as clearly as you can, I want you to see a beautiful white sparkling light energy above your head. And I want you to see that white light energy pouring down like a waterfall over your body, from your head down to your feet, moving into the center of the earth. And as this white light is washing over your body, any tension that you're holding on to in your surface muscles is being dissolved into this white light energy to be flushed into the center of the earth. Now opening up the top of your head and seeing that white light energy pouring down into the top of your head, moving down through your body like a river, down and out through the bottom of your feet into the center of the earth. And as this white light is moving through your body, it's clearing away the debris, it's removing the blockages, it's shining light in all of the dark places. Any tension that you're holding on to is being dissolved into this white light to be flushed out through the bottom of your feet into the center of the earth. We're going to do a quick balancing of the chakras now, starting at your root chakra, your tailbone, base of your spine. I want you to see red spinning energy. See that red spinning easily, freely. Moving up now to your sacral, a couple of inches below your belly button. Seeing the orange spinning energy and seeing that orange spinning in perfect harmony with the red below it. Moving up now to your solar plexus, to your belly. Seeing the yellow spinning energy. And that yellow is spinning in perfect harmony with the orange and the red. Up now to your heart. Seeing the green spinning energy. And that green is spinning in perfect harmony with the yellow, the orange, and the red. Now moving up to your throat, seeing the blue spinning energy. And that blue is spinning in perfect harmony with the green, the yellow, the orange, and the red. Now up to your third eye, your forehead, seeing the indigo spinning energy. And that indigo is spinning in perfect harmony with the blue, the green, the yellow, the orange, and the red. Now up to the top of your head to your crown, seeing the violet spinning energy. And that violet is spinning in perfect harmony with the indigo, the blue, the green, the yellow, the orange, and the red. Now, from an observer perspective, I want you to see all of these energy centers lit up like a rainbow. Energy moving up and down your spinal column easily, freely. And now running that white light, pouring it down into the top of your head once again. Seeing it move very easily down through your body and out through the bottom of your feet into the center of the earth. And now grounding that energy, seeing your root chakra open up and allowing that recycled white light from the center of the earth to come back up through the root, intertwining in the heart space. The light from above meets the light from below, intertwining in the heart, focusing on that green energy of the heart. This is who you really are. Who you came to be is love. This is the essence of your being. And in this process, moving forward through your day, through your evening, coming from this heart place where you can have compassion for yourself and others. And now coming back into your body, wiggling toes and fingers, and opening your eyes when you're ready.
Mm-mm. Mm. Okay, here we are. That was lovely. Thank you so much. Well, I guess I need to ask, back down to business for a moment, if I can transfer back to that. What do you like to do the most right now? Do you like to do one-on-one sessions, or UFO tours have to be? so neat. Would you rather people book tours with you and come down to Hawaii? What is your favorite line of work right now? Or favorite thing to do in work?
So, well, number one, I love the variety of what I do.
I
So,
love that. All right.
yeah. And now I do love my one-on-one sessions. And coming up in May, I'm going to start teaching people. I'm doing my certification program. So I'm going to start training healers how to
Okay.
access their own unique modality with their galactic teams.
Nice.
And so I'm really looking forward to training the healers to
All
become even more
right.
powerful.
All right. What's the best way to get in touch with you? Your website?
Probably the website,
Okay.
drlisajthompson.com. I also have a free gift that I love for people to access, which is a multidimensional awakening kit, 5 high vibe meditative journeys, and an ascension workbook. And that's at awakenactivatenow.com.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to ponder our session a good bit today. Thank you so much for showing up here and doing the astounding, important work that you are doing right now. I so appreciate it. I so appreciate you lending your time to all of us here today. And I've got, for those who are, I've got a direct line that's coming down my face of light from the window, which is great. Okay, Dr. Lisa, thank you so much. And y'all stay tuned to see who's coming up. We've got a great lineup. P and Cullen are going to be on next week as well. And I really love doing this show, as I've talked about. For me, I learned so much. So I hope you guys learn a lot as well. Thank you, Dr. Lisa. Peace out. Y'all, find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Truth Social, as well as Rumble, BitChute, YouTube, plus a plethora of other audio directories like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So like, subscribe, do it all. See ya.